What is up, winning team? Hello and welcome back to our series looking at Genesis 1 till 3 from a scientific perspective. This is part 2 of a greater series which we're currently doing, where I'm answering the questions, is God real? If he's real, why is there evil in the world? And why do people choose evil? Right? And so I thought we'll start this entire series by looking through Genesis 1 to 3 from a more scientific take, in order to see if there's any clues as to why the world is the way that it is and why the world had to be built the way that it was, if it was built. Right? This is part 2 of Genesis 1. We went through 1 through 25 in the previous video. So check all of it's all linked in the description, plus an intro with a full explanation of exactly what's coming in this series, but there's so much to come. We are now in Genesis 26, where he's now created the earth and all of these things, the animals and this, that, and the other. And so, yeah, catch up with that if you want to be in context. I'm not going to be re-explaining everything because some people are going to actually just watch all the videos. So go and catch up if you need to. Let's get straight into this, because I just had another revelation just in between me stopping the last part and starting this one. Anyway, then God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. You know what? Hold on a minute. Right, so image in Hebrew. I want to keep up with the Hebrew, because I feel like so much of our lacking in understanding is we're all reading this Bible in languages that is not the language that God originally wrote it in, and therefore we're getting the wrong context. And I believe it was done on purpose, by the way, which will come to that. The main Hebrew word for image is tselem, meaning likeness, representation, or copy, often used in the Bible for physical idols or the spiritual reflection of God in humans. Now, others related included demut, likeness, form, and tuma, form, image. Another word, pesel, specifically means a carved or graven idol. So this is the idea of creating something in one's image, in its likeness. And I believe when God is saying that, it's like he's giving us this is the thing, he gave us, this is how I understand it. God put within us, because let's not forget, everything else that has been created so far, according to the scriptures, God has given, and it's been given a specific thing and task and role. He's already given those things. The birds, they fly in the sky and they're doing whatever. The fish are in the sea, whatever. The animals on the earth, whatever. Now he's saying, let's make man. So we're going to make this different thing that we're creating in our likeness, and we're going to give them dominion, which is what we're about to get into the meaning of that. But I first of all want to highlight, so God is a creator who has the power to make a decision and the power to use what is available to him for whatever he wants to use it for. Let's not forget that this whole entire series was all based off of me asking God the question that I've been asking him for years. If it's just as easy to choose you, it's just as easy to be in your kingdom, why do people not choose it? Why, if it's just as easy to choose good, why do people choose evil? So in giving us that ability, that it was him giving us his power and the making us in his image, right? Which is quite interesting, because in One Piece, I know I said I was going to try to avoid talking about it, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit. One of the concepts is that a lot of these devil fruits, I've always found it funny how they're called devil fruits. They have an ability within them, a lot of them, for good or evil, but it's up to the user what they choose to do with it. And it's interesting that they consume these fruits. And then once they consume these fruits, and they are going to be met with the opportunity that, I can choose this side of using it, or I can choose that side of using it. And I just been watching a video just now about the main character, Luffy, how he has encountered the bad side. You can tell that he knows, he's aware that there's a bad side to his power. Just like others found out they had one and they chose it. Why? I'm using that as a way to visualize some of these concepts here. So it says, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion. So dominion means supreme power or authority. This is why I think God is absolutely insane, okay? Because he basically was like, I'm going to do all this work to create all of this for you. Then I'm going to create you. And then I'm just going to give you this to do whatever you want to do. And that's forms where we're at. That forms where we're at, because I told you guys before, I truly believe that we as humans are the ones who have created this chaos that is on earth, because we started out in the previous chapter, in the previous part of Genesis. God says everything was without form and void. Everything was just, there was no order, and he placed everything into order. He created the heavens. He said, let there be light. He put the dried land together. He, all of this, it's all explained in the first part. And it all just goes wrong as soon as humans can't show up, which is what you guys already know. Talk about this in my book, The Law in the End of the Beginning. That's why it's called The End of the Beginning. We were supposed to begin, and then we immediately ended as soon as we had the opportunity, but we'll come back to that in a second. So yeah, and let them have dominion. So supreme authority, power and authority. And isn't it funny that Jesus came to give us power and authority? Interesting. It's almost as if we gave it up. It's almost as if maybe that's why we're living the lives we live now, where we don't have very much power of authority as humans, and we're being very much overpowered and living under other authorities. And that's exactly why we've become a hellscape here. But we're coming to that. And let them have, over the birds of the heavens, over the livestock, over all the earth, and over all creeping, everything creeping and thing that creeps on the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. And God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. So this was the next word I decided to go to look for a definition for. Something that's subdued is almost like restrained. So it's like God is like trying to say to us, like, I'm telling you what to do, right? And if you listen, you will thrive. That's why the animals, they just do what the Lord said, and they're just obedient. The bees, they wake up, they go, they find the pollen, they make the honey, they pollinate places, they do what they have to do. You know what I mean? The cows, they go around, they eat the grass, like they're there. The animals are doing what they need to do, as long as we do our job. That's what I'm saying. We are the ones who let down the group project as humans. And we're going to come to that. As everybody else and everything else is doing what it needs to do. In here, I don't know why I didn't mention it yet. Maybe it's coming up. Yeah, we'll wait for it to come up then. So it says, subdue it and have dominion. Subdue it and don't let it just run itself. You take the reins for how things are going to go. Over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, over every living thing that moves on the earth. And God said, behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food. So he's like, look, I've even got you the food there. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the heavens, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has the breath of life. So he's the one breathing life into things, right? And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. So again, we talked in the previous video about this concept of God saying what is good. He's like, okay, I've got the humans, I've put them on this planet, I've given them whatever, and now they have all that they need to succeed. This is now a successful ecosystem. This system, as long as it goes along with what I've told them, I've built it to be fit for purpose, right? I've built it to exist on its own. It talks about, I can't remember where, because I thought maybe I just didn't think about it when I was reading it, but it talks about how, it was the sunlight, like the water cycle. The sunlight created the mist from the waters, which then, created clouds, which is why the earth itself, before he had actually started to build the garden itself, the earth had already started to do its thing, because the sun was causing for there to be, evaporation, and then, it all collects up, and then condensation in the clouds, and then they form clouds, and then rain falls. Then the rain was falling on the seeds that he had planted, which was already creating things to happen. And in the midst, the animals all doing their job of how they help us all in society how they help the world to function. This is why I get so upset with them cutting all the trees down near where I live. I'm like, God literally gave us like free water filters, like air filters, that take out carbon dioxide that's coming out from us and all this stuff and produce it back into oxygen, which we need, and we're cutting them down. This is why I say humans, we are the ones who ruin everything. We are the reason, and it is our choice. it as our choice, because it doesn't have to be that way, because God was like, you guys do what you want. Do whatever you want, but here is what I want you to know. These are your choices. Choose the choice you want, but I'm going to let you know what the results of those choices are, which we're going to come to. And we talk about the tree of knowledge of good and evil in chapter 2. And to finish this part off, am I going to finish this part off? Yeah. It then says, the seventh day God rests. Sorry, that's the title, which I don't know if the title needs to be there. But anyway, thus the heavens and the earth were finished. This is Genesis chapter 2 now. And all of the host of them. And on the seventh day, God finished his work. That he had done. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work that he had done. So God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it God rested from all his work that he had done in creation. So again, it's just, I find it fascinating that he bothered to mention that he rested, because why is that even important? But obviously, I believe with what God is explaining to us, this is why I say when we read the Bible, it's like God is trying to lead by example. You know what I mean? He's trying to literally lead by example as to how we as humans in the world should function. He's taking a rest. The seventh day, he made it holy. I'm going to talk about this in my other upcoming book. How, God created all these things to this day of rest. I believe part of the Sabbath, which is right now, the Sabbath is ending, the sun is about to set on this Saturday. And, I believe he created it because when you rest, that's when you have the actual time to connect, and be able to connect with God, yourself, those around you, and make sure that what we're doing is what we need to do. And I truly believe that the reason why this world we're living in, the reason why we're having so many issues as a society, I believe that the kingdom of darkness is keeping us busy on purpose. So we don't have enough time to take a step back and actually a proper step back, not just a little, we'll get 6 weeks annual leave. Because again, if you look at how God created the seasons according to God, when we have, spring, summer, autumn, winter, right? Each season is fit for whatever it is. And there's certain seasons where we are planting and we're working. There's certain seasons where we're resting. There's certain seasons where we're harvesting. Like right now, the reason why it's winter and it's like this, we're not supposed to be out on these streets. We're not supposed to be out and about, right? This is the time when we can rest and we can reconnect with the Lord. You know what I mean? We can reconnect with each other. He even has this thing called a Sabbath year, which talks about in Leviticus when the Israelites left Egypt. He taught them that every 7 years, you don't work for an entire year. You don't even go and do anything with your crops. You leave the crops for the animals and for the people who are not doing well. Can you imagine how thoughtful that is? He's like, some people maybe in that 7-year period might have found themselves in a bad spot. So you know what? Even in that time, they're going to have access to just get back on their own feet. You know what I mean? In that year, because you as a farmer, maybe you would sell your crops or whatever you do. You're this smith, that smith. Now we're giving our things out to those who might be in need, and also for the animals who, again, are very much important part of our cycle. So realistically, we should let them have it. That's why I get so annoyed about them cutting all these forests down where I live, because I'm like, give the animals somewhere, a space. Like, they need their own space. I feel so sad for them when I see them, And I'm like, we should let them have their areas that are just their own private spaces that we don't mess around with. That's why I respect the guy who made Fortnite. You know how he bought all these acres of land and he's like, I haven't bought it for anything other than to just leave the wildlife. It's like, thank you for somebody actually thinking about that, So yeah, so that's the Sabbath. That's what God calls a Sabbath year. So he just had one recently, a Sabbath year. But yeah, every 7 years, that's what you were supposed to do. It's like he rested. There's reasons why he's saying this, because he's like, as part of your functioning, of your orderly functioning, rest is an important part of it. And so that's why I believe the enemy has created us to have these lives where we're happy that we got an hour to ourselves. We're happy that we got to just have 6 weeks off in 52 weeks out of all of 52. You know what I mean? We work for 5 days, but really we're working for more than that, because that's just you at your physical job, right? Of which a lot of people are doing even more than that. Then you have work that you have to do outside of your physical job, like maintaining your life, going and buying groceries, cleaning your house. You know what I mean? Trying to keep up with your relationships. So where is this rest? That's why I'm so sure we're living outside of the garden. That's why I'm so sure we're not living the way that God intended where we're at, and that it's our own fault. But we'll come to that. So we'll leave that there. And we'll get into this creation of man and woman thing. Yeah, we'll get into the creation of man and woman thing, because I think that's going to be its own video. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Like I said, it's part of a bigger one. Check it all out in the description box. It's all linked in my playlist. And the intros to why we're even talking about this is all linked in there. And check out part 1 when we look through Genesis 1 through 25. And then this, we've just done 25 to the end, and then to the beginning of Genesis chapter 2, when God decides to rest. So next we'll be going on to the creation of man and woman, because you guys know all I've been talking about for the past 4 years is freaking Adam and Eve, right? Because I believe everything went wrong in the garden, which I'm going to obviously kind of reiterate in this series. Excuse me. But on top of that, I've learned some new things as of rereading this now, in light of a lot of stuff. And if we look at it from a slightly less relationship based aspect and more of a ecosystem type of aspect, it actually reveals quite a lot of things. So yeah, I'm excited to get into this next part, because you guys, if life's a game, let's play to win. Catch you in part 3. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one.